Welcome everyone back to the channel. This is Decoding with Cody, and let's jump into this absolutely mind-boggling decode of all about power outages, blackouts in the year of the snake, which is the year 2025. Now, I want to preface this video. If you are new to the channel or if you are a subscriber and you have not watched these two videos right here. The first one is the Blackout is Commencing Part 3. I released 4 days ago. The second one is what you're going to do when the grid goes down. I released 3 days ago. If you have not watched these two videos, you might be a little lost because I'm not going to go over all this information again in this video. If you guys feel lost and like you want to catch up, please go back and watch these two videos, okay? This video especially will get you all the information you need as to why I'm predicting that sometime around March 25th, 26th, or 27th, 28th of 2025, there will be most likely a huge, massive power outage. This goes in line with what the Klaus Schwab at the World Economic Forum has told us. We're going to have a cyber pandemic, and also there's been a lot of predictive programming over the years for this power outage. I've made other videos on this in the past, but these two videos will show you why I believe it's March 26th, okay? March 26th, 2025. Remember that date. That's the date that I think is most likely for some sort of power outage, whether it's from a solar flare, an EMP, or just the grid going down somehow. It doesn't matter. I just think it's going to happen somehow around that time period. Okay? So yeah, again, go watch these videos. Now, with that being said, let's jump into this decode. Now, I'm going to go back to my first slide, guys, from a few days ago, just so I can refresh all of you. So I'm just going to tell you how I came up with this date. I'm not going to explain it all of how all the other connections I have. I'm just going to explain the main connection I made to reach this date of March 26, 2025. Okay, the reason is on June 3rd, 2022, there was a climate protester who got on the court and got in between the game of two tennis players. She was wearing the shirt that said, "We have 1028 days left." Okay? And if you measure 1028 days from the day she did this, you get to March 26, 2025. That is how I got the date. That is how I come up with this date. And then I started applying all of my other research that I had done on blackouts over the past year and a half. And I applied it and I measured it and I put it up against this date. And it only became more and more clear that this date, March 26th, is huge. Okay? Another big thing to notice here, guys, is that the name of the protest group that this girl was protesting for was Last Renovation, which equals 85. And March 26th is the 85th day of the year. Okay? Also, if you type in climate protest, like she was climate protest, that also equals 85, like Last Renovation. Now, this number is the most important number to this entire riddle. So that's why I'm showing you that this number was even connected to this t-shirt because the name of the group she was protesting for equals 85, okay? So that's going to come up all kinds of different times in this decode. I just want you guys to know why. Now, I'm not going to go over all these other connections. If you guys want to know, please go back and watch. There's so much here I put in those other videos, okay? So anyways, with that out of the way, I can finally get to the new information. So for those who are caught up, here's the new information. Now, this is all about the year of the snake, guys. The year of the snake is the year that is most associated with blackouts, okay? And here in front of you is the evidence as to why that is. And I'm going to show you also in the gematria why that is, okay? Again, guys, gematria is simple. I use it on this channel to decode and to measure and to be able to break apart these rituals in our matrix, okay? And the biggest thing here is that you just take the alphabetical order. For instance, in the power grid word, P is the 16th, O is the 15th, W is the 23rd, and so on. And you add that all up, you get 115. You can also do the reduction values, and you can also do it in reverse. So these four main ciphers is what I will be using throughout this decode. Now, with that being said, why did I think that the snake and the blackout is tied together? Well, I'm going to show you in gematria, okay? Because when you type in the word snake, you're going to get the 85. Remember, I showed you that the protesting group was that she was protesting for that pointed to the day, March 26th, which is the 85th day. The name of the renovation group, last renovation, equals 85, like snake, okay? Also, if you type in the word blackout, you're going to get 85, okay? So blackout and snake both equal 85, and this is going to be in the gematria. This is why each year that there's a snake year, there has been some sort of, I mean, each year since 1965 at least. I haven't gone back to these other years, but I just know that starting in 1965, there was a northeast blackout, okay? And that was a snake year. As a matter of fact, 1965 was a wood snake year, because each element, in the Chinese zodiac, each animal has a different element. So there's the wood, the fire, the water, and in this year, this was the wood snake. And 2025 is also a wood snake. So 1965 and 1925 are both wood snakes. And I'm going to show you why this year was superscripted for blackouts. And I just showed you here that there was a blackout in the Northeast on that year. Now, if we go ahead 12 more years, because in the Chinese zodiac, every 12 years is the same zodiac. So this was another snake year in 1977. And guess what, guys? There was another blackout, the New York City blackout of 1977. So far, we are 2 for 2 in these snake years on blackouts. Now, the next 12 years ahead on a snake year was 1989. I have not researched this year yet, guys, because I just couldn't put all this into one video, but I might make another video if I find something on this year. Okay, so the first 2 years, 1965, blackout in the Northeast, and then in 1977, a blackout in New York. Okay, now if we skip ahead after 1989, the next snake year, guys, was, of course, the 2011 September 11th attacks. What are the chances, guys? Absolutely big events happen in the snake years. Now, this wasn't a blackout, but this was a huge, and later on in this video, I'm going to show you why this is tied to 9/11, okay? But anyways, that year of the snake was a huge year. Now, the next year is the 2013 snake year, which is the previous one before 2025. And in that year, there was a lot of blackout symbolism. I'm going to get to in this later in this video, but just to show you, there was a Super Bowl that year, okay? And guess what happened at the Super Bowl? Well, guys, there was a blackout, okay? So again, 1965 snake year, there's a blackout. 1977, there's a blackout. 2001, the September 11th attacks. 2013, a blackout at the Super Bowl, all in snake years. And 2025 is the next one, and that leads me to the date that I'm predicting, which is March 26th or somewhere in that range for some sort of blackout. I don't know how big it's going to be. I don't even know if it's going to happen then. It might happen later in 2025, but I'm thinking the most likely scenario is on that time period, March 25th, 26th, 27th, or 28th of 2025. So moving on, this is going to be a very big slide that I'm going to have to break down a lot, okay? So I told you, the first year that there was a snake year and a blackout was all the way back in 1965. This was the wood snake year, which is the same thing that's going to come in 2025. It's a wood snake. In 1965, the wood snake year began on February 2nd, okay, 1965, which you see right here, okay? And in that year, there was a blackout, I told you, in the Northeast. If you measure from the beginning of the snake year to this blackout, which was on 11/9, guys, like 9/11, okay? It was November 9th, 9/11, okay? From that snake year beginning on 2/2 to 11/9 was 280 days. Now, why is this important, guys? Well, first of all, because the date I'm predicting in 2025, March 26th, is the day leaving 280. Do you see this? Notice the blue underlines, guys. 280 days between the snake year beginning in 1965 and the 9/11 blackout in 1965. 280 days, and that was a wood snake year. And in 2025, it's a wood snake. And the day I think it might happen is on the 280 day, just like it was 280 days between the snake year beginning and the blackout in 1965. Because remember, again, guys, 1965, the same wood snake year as 2025. Okay. Also, guys, another thing to mention here is that if you drop the 0 in 28 and 280, you get 28. And in Chaldean gematria, blackout equals 28. Okay. So I just showed you from snake year to the Northeast power outage, 280, and March 26th is the 280 day of the year, okay, in 2025. Now, another thing that if you guys haven't watched my other videos, you might be lost, but I mentioned this band called the Rolling Stones, and they released an album called Aftermath. And on that album, there was a song called Paint It Black, like a blackout. I talked about this in my first video, so please go back and watch it and so you can see how it all connects. But in this case, the reason I'm talking about them here is because this was the year they released this, okay? They released this album with Paint It Black, all right? So I measured from the blackout of 11/9/1965 to the end, okay, or the Aftermath album comes out, okay? So if you look here, guys, on the 11/9/65 blackout in the Northeast, if you go ahead 5 months and 6 days, okay, you're going to land on, you're going to basically land on the album by Rolling Stones called Aftermath. And why is that important, guys? Well, first of all, because it's 5 months and 6 days after the power outage in New York, and power outage equals 56. See the green line? 56, 56. And not only is it 56, guys, it lands on Aftermath by the Rolling Stones with Paint It Black song, and that's on April 15th, 1966. And notice that Aftermath is a 2-cipher match to power outage, okay? So it's perfectly scripted, guys. The Aftermath album comes out 5-6 days after a real-life blackout. On the album, you got Paint It Black, okay? And the name of the album is a direct match with power outage. And the span between the blackout and the album is 5-6, and power outage equals 56. Okay, if you guys need to stop the video to understand all of this, please do. Okay, just read on this slide. So now the next date is from the end of the year of the snake, which is on 1/20/1966, to the Aftermath album is 85 days. Once again, guys, so not only if you measure from the blackout to the Aftermath album, you get the power outage, okay, which is 56. If you measure from the end of the snake year, and remember, snake equals 85, blackout equals 85. If you measure from the end of the snake year to the Aftermath album, it's 85. Absolutely perfect. All right. And the Rolling Stones equals 85. So 85 days after the snake, which equals 85, Aftermath comes out, which matches power outage. Okay. 85 days after the snake year ends, and the Rolling Stones equals 85. And if that wasn't enough, guys, the day they released the album, 4/15/1966, if you do the date numerology, 4 plus 15 plus 66 equals 85. I mean, again, what are the chances? Also, the day of the blackout in 1965 in the Northeast also had 85 date numerology. 11 plus 9 plus 65 equals 85. So both the Aftermath album release, 85, and the day of the blackout that year, 85. Remember, this is all happening in or around the snake year, okay? Right here. And the Rolling Stones equals 85. And the date I'm predicting in 2025 is the 85th day of the year. And if you type that date out, March 26th, it equals 85, which matches Rolling Stones in the same cipher, okay? And just remember, blackout 85, and it's in the year of the snake, 85. So again, guys, this is all perfect. If you guys need to stop the video and go back, please do, all right? So we're going to go to the next year, which was the year of the fire snake in 1977, okay? That started on February 18th. Now, I don't have as much research on this year, guys, but I'm going to maybe put more together if I find more, okay? And if you guys help me, I might also find more. But again, this is all scripted as well, and I'm going to show you. In the year of the snake in 1977, the snake started on February 18th. And from the day of that to the power outage in New York City was 146 days, and power outage equals 46. So from the snake year beginning to the power outage is 146, and power outage equals 146. Once again, guys, perfectly scripted. All right? Now, if you go from the power outage to the day that Apple releases their famous Apple II computer on June 10th, and why do I bring up Apple, guys? Well, because Apple is a cyber thing. This is all about cyberspace, electricity going out. But just notice that Apple equals 85 in the same cipher as snake. So Apple releases their computer in the year of the snake, both equal 85, okay? And again, blackout equals 85. Now, in that year, the snake year ended on 2/6/1978. So again, guys, the big takeaway from this year is that from the 2/18 snake year beginning, 146 days, there's a power outage, and power outage equals 146, okay? I mean, what's the chances? So again, guys, this day, I don't have as much research, but I'm going to probably add more in the future. So just letting you guys know that. Now, if we go to the next year I want to talk about, because remember, guys, if we go back to the slide I made, my first slide, I showed you that 1965, which I already talked about, 1977, which I just talked about, and I didn't do any research on 1989, but I plan on doing some, okay? The next year after that, and for the snake year, was 2001, and of course, guys, in that year, September 11th happened, okay? So I'm not going to talk a whole lot about this year either, but I'm going to skip ahead to June, or to the snake year in 2013. This was the year of the blackout bowl, the Super Bowl that was a blackout. There was a power outage, okay? So I'm going to skip ahead to that. So right before that year, 2013, which was a snake year, Obama signed an executive order basically saying that if there is a cyber attack on the United States power grid or anything like that, or if there was an emergency like 9/11, okay, the government wants priority use of telecoms and the web in the event of major emergency like 9/11. You see, they're comparing something like another 9/11. And in this, he signed an executive order, and he referenced Janet Napolitano, who was his then director of Homeland Security. And I'm going to talk about her in a minute, but according to The Verge, skeptics fear that the clause that Obama signed would give Obama and Napolitano control over the internet, okay? In extreme circumstances, they were fearing that the government could take over the internet if there was a cyber attack or something. Now, if you read what I wrote here, and if you guys want to do the research, this was Executive Order 13618, and it was on July 6th, okay, which is George W. Bush's birthday, and of course, George W. Bush was the president during 9/11, okay? Now, if you go from I'm just going to read this, guys. On 7/6/2012, Obama signs executive order to give government ability to control the internet in case of a major 9/11 event, specifically a cyber event. Homeland Security Director at the time was also the one with power. And I will get to her in a minute. That's Janet Napolitano. She's a huge part of this whole riddle. So if you guys want to pause the video and read all of this, you guys can. So we'll move forward. The next thing is, again, this is 2013. This is just a few months after Obama signed that executive order. This is a snake year, once again. I'm going to read through this and then I'll explain, okay? On 1/24/2013, 17 days before the snake year started, Janet Napolitano, I just told you who she was. She's Obama's Homeland Security, and she was the one that also was given power. But Janet Napolitano said that there would be a cyber 9/11 on 1/24/2013. Again, 17 days before the snake year started. And we know how big of a history the snake year has with power grid or blackouts or cyber attacks, okay, or power outages. I just explained that to you in the other snake years. So 17 days before this snake year, Napolitano says there would be a cyber 9/11. If you guys want to see, I put right here the article, Cyber 9/11 may be on the horizon, Homeland Security Chief warns. The head of Homeland Security announced today that she believes a cyber 9/11 could happen imminently, according to Reuters. If such an event would occur, it would cripple the country, taking down the power grid, the water, the infrastructure, the financial networks. We shouldn't wait until there's a 9/11 in the cyber world, okay? So they're comparing this to 9/11, guys. So she said it's not a matter of if, but when the grid would go down. 11 days after she said that on 1/24/13, the Super Bowl happened. And I told you, in this Super Bowl on 2/4/13, there was a power outage. Ravens survived Niners rally to win Super Bowl, a power outage at the Super Bowl. Now, this is just after Napolitano comes out and says that there could be attack against the grid. And then at the Super Bowl, right after she says that, there's a power outage. Okay, and this is right before the year of the snake started, because the year of the snake started on 2/10/13, which is 6 days after the blackout at the Super Bowl. Okay, and why is this important, guys? Well, let's just show how this is all tied together. So from the day that Janet Napolitano said this on Thursday, January 24th, okay, 2013, to March 26, 2025, which is the day I'm expecting an actual power grid attack, is 146 weeks. I just showed you in the last slide how big the 146 was in 1977, because after the snake year, 146 days later, you had the New York City power outage. And now, after Janet Napolitano says there will be attack against the grid or a grid going down, 146 months later is the March 26, 2025, and power outage equals 146. That was also exactly from the day she said that on 1/24/13 to March 26, 2025 is 4 days. I mean, come on, guys. That is a very interesting number, especially because it's also 146 like power outage. Okay? Now, if that wasn't enough, guys, let me bring all this together with the 85. Now, remember, Janet Napolitano, just before the snake year, said that there could be a cyber 9/11. Okay? Now, look at this, guys. Look at the word Janet, her first name, and the word snake. It's a direct match in all 4 ciphers, and including the 85. That's the number I've been telling you all about. And what did she compare this new power grid failure to? Well, she compared it to September 11th, which equals 85. Her name equals 85 in the same cipher as September 11th. It equals 85 like blackout, like snake, like her first name is a direct match to snake in all 4 ciphers. And it's all about the year of the snake. Okay? Now remember, another thing I need to point out, guys, is the other snake year was in 2001 during 9/11, and the Ravens won the Super Bowl that year. The Ravens also won the Super Bowl in 2013 when they had the blackout, and this was the same year that all this happened, guys. The same year, okay? So the Ravens winning the Super Bowl is a clue, okay? I think the Ravens will possibly make it to the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl in 2025. I think it's even possible that they win next year. But in Super Bowl 59, I think they could win. Okay? Again, because they won in 2001 before 9/11, and then they won again, and they had a blackout at the Super Bowl, and 2025 is the next snake year. Okay? So we're going to see how that plays out, but I really think it's possible that the Ravens, and I'm going to have a full another video on how the Ravens are tied to this. Now, guys, this was 2013, the snake year, right? The last snake year before 2025. And Also that year, not only did Janet Napolitano say all this stuff, and we also had the blackout at the Super Bowl, but there was also a documentary released by National Geographic, and it was called American Blackout. Okay, guys, do you see what I mean? In 2013, the narrative was all about blackouts, and we know why, because it was a snake year, and blackout and snake both have that 85. Okay, but just, you guys can go find this article and read it. It's just talking about a catastrophic prolonged failure of the electrical grid. And it gives you 3 reasons why it could happen. It gives you an EMP attack, which I believe is the most likely scenario for a power grid attack. It also says a solar flare, which I think is also possible. That would tie to the Carrington event, which is the biggest blackout from a solar event in history. That happened in 1859. Okay. But notice that this came, it mentions the year 1989 here, and that was a snake year, guys. So again, even this is coded with the snake year. They mention the solar flare, and they mention 1989, which was a huge solar year, okay? So again, this is saying that it could be an EMP attack, an intentional EMP attack, a solar flare, or possibly even the grid would just fail, you know, because it collapses on its own, okay? So that's also a possible scenario. So I couldn't find the actual release date of this this documentary so I could measure, but it does say February 4th, 2014 on Amazon, okay? American Blackout. So this was just after the snake year ended. And again, guys, this was exactly a year after the Ravens won the Super Bowl. You guys will remember the Ravens Super Bowl was February 4th, where they had the blackout, 2013. And this is they say this DVD, the blackout, was released exactly a year later. Okay. And what's interesting, guys, is if you measure from the release of this American Blackout documentary to this date in question that I'm talking about for 2025, it's exactly 11 years and 50 days, which is kind of like the number 115. Well, why is that important, guys? That's because I showed you in gematria, power grid equals 115. So from the release of this documentary, American Blackout, okay, is 115 to this day, and power grid equals 115. So I thought that was very interesting. But that's the only day I could find on Amazon to measure from. But it's interesting that they released this DVD on this exactly a year after the blackout Super Bowl. Okay, and it's about a blackout. So again, I don't think it's a coincidence, guys. Anyways, there's a few more things I want to touch on here. You know, this is Janet Napolitano, the girl I've been talking about. If we measure from her birthday right before 2025, which would be 11/29/2024, to the date in question, March 26th, okay? Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Actually, if we measured from the date that she said that there would be a grid attack, remember I told you she said that there would be a grid attack on 1/24/2013, right before the blackout Super Bowl. She said that. If you measure from the day that she said that, or from her last birthday before that, before she said it, it's 56 days, guys. And what did I tell you? Power outage equals, you know, I showed you this in my slides, but I'll type it in so you can see. Power outage equals 56, okay? And she just happens to talk about a power outage 56 days after her birthday in 2013, right before the snake year, okay? Because her birthday was 11/29. If you measure 56 days forward, it was the day she talked about this, this article, right, that I showed you right back here. This article was released. She said it on January 24th. And that was 56 days after her birthday, and power outage equals 56. So again, so now let me show you how this 56 goes in with this upcoming snake year in 2025. If you measure from the beginning of the snake year in 2025, which is it's going to be starting on January 29th, and you measure forward to this date I'm talking about, the 85 day, the blackout day, What do you get, guys? You get 56. I just showed you 56 is power outage. Okay? And I just showed you that Janet Napolitano, she did 56 days after her birthday. She talked about the power outage in 2013 snake year. And then this year, the snake year starts on 129. And in gematria, guys, electricity equals 129 in gematria. Okay, and the snake year starts on 129, and 56 days later, it's this 85, which is blackout, and 56 is obviously power outage, as I just showed you before. Okay, so again, the fact that this snake year starts on the 129 like electricity, I don't think it's a coincidence, guys. I really think it's perfectly scripted. And the fact that it's 56 days to this huge date. And remember, this date I got from this t-shirt on this protester. And then I showed you how it connected in my first videos. So I hope that you guys understood all this. This is a lot of information. Please go back and watch and share this video, guys. I mean, I know we got a long way until this happens, but I really want to, show how it connects in so many ways. Heck, maybe we avoid it because I'm exposing it, right? But at any rate, guys, I think it's going to happen at some point regardless. And this seems like it's going to be the day. I mean, everything lines up so perfectly. If you've watched my last 3 videos about this, you're going to know that this is all very good, especially 56 days after the snake year starts. And it's the 85, like snake equals 85, like blackout equals 85. It's just too perfect. Okay? So once again, I'm going to go back to this original one that I was showing you, and you guys are going to see these are all the snake years. If you guys want to rewatch the video, go back and rewatch it. There's a lot of information here, and there's a lot more to come. So anyways, I hope you guys have a good day, good week out there, and I will see you guys in the next video.